What's your monkey wrench?
I think of a couple things. One, I just want to throw out there that this is truly our food episode, obviously, and for more reasons than one. One being that I just came from a benefit dinner and toy drive for the Ronald McDonald House. I just want to give them a shout out.
Okay.
Because it's an excellent, worthy cause.
It definitely is.
To support.
I mean, McDonald's is an evil enterprise, but the Ronald McDonald House really is great for, I believe it's children who have, and their families.
Yeah, they provide housing and food and everything else that a family can need so they can live close to where their child is at a hospital.
Is this branded content? Did you guys
not tell me? I mean, I guess Doug was really just moved by his. Was this a volunteer experience that you engaged in? Okay.
So like I said, it's just I thought it was nice that it synced up with our food episode.
Famously, the Doughboys have not reviewed McDonald's and has chosen not to, as far as I know. It's like the one major chain that they have not reviewed so far.
McDonald's items have made their way into, they have put, let's say, the Big Mac head-to-head with another burger.
Because they had, like anytime they had specialty burgers, they would do, like, a specialty burger.
Right.
But they haven't reviewed McDonald's as a restaurant the way they did KFC or Taco Bell. But continue.
Right. So, a little incidental information. But, Doug, what's this monkey wrench you speak of?
Other than, I think I just want to change up the format and the way we discuss this particular podcast in general. But then just one other caveat is neither of you have asked me what's in the bag, which is sitting next to me. And it is a pleasant food surprise for both of you.
Oh, that's nice.
That's very sweet.
Now, we're not going to show our hand just yet, but at the end of this episode, a time that we usually play a game. It's usually a game that we direct to Doug. That was Ghost sneezing. He sneezes a lot. That was Ghost, my cat, was
Allergy
sneezing.
pills?
And now he's cleaning his genitals. We are going to be, instead of throwing a game at you, as we often do, Brandon and I are going to be engaged in a kind of endurance challenge, a pain challenge. We'll talk more about that as we get close to it. But we are going to be eating something that is likely to be unpleasant. Mm-hmm. Do you want to wait to reveal what's in the bag, this pleasant thing, something enjoyable in the bag then? Or do you want to tell us now?
Well, you know what? I'll throw it out now, and we can dispense with it just so that it's out there and you have something to look forward to.
Okay.
This is my wife's world famous pumpkin bread.
Oh, nice.
That's fun.
Yes.
All right. Great. Well, maybe that will help to soothe our pain later.
Let's hope so.
And I'll be honest, I just thought you brought your big notebook and stuff like that in that bag. That's what I thought when I saw you carrying it. What did you think, Brandon?
It's a Maggiano's bag. I assumed that he had been at Maggiano's and was bringing leftovers and was just toting them with him.
That would have been nice, too. Even though I'm looking forward to some homemade baked
pumpkin bread sounds great.
I mean, again, white-hot episode thus far, guys. I'm sure our listeners are bent over and holding their sides. Doug... Again,
should we get to the podcast now?
No, just the monkey wrench. What's the monkey wrench part?
All right, so the monkey wrench is this. Like I said, this
fundamental change in how we do things. What is it going to be?
So, just in general, I want to discuss these two episodes maybe together as opposed to separately.
Sure.
And let's start it off with this fact that I'm assuming will be a shock to you.
Yeah.
And I'll just throw it out there. I love this podcast.
Excellent. Brandon.
Fuck yeah. High five.
That's the sound of a high five, folks.
I got to tell you.
That is great.
Even mentally, I'm thinking these two deserve to high five for this one because
This rarely happens. We'll put it that way.
We were saving Doughboys. Doughboys is my favorite podcast, and it's also Maria's, my lovely fiance's, favorite podcast. And so this is something I've listened to every episode, and... Not to cut you off, and we'll get back to you, but one of the things that's so incredible about this podcast for me, I feel like they're my friends. Like, this is the podcast more than anything where I'm like, I could be friends with Nick Wiger and Mike Mitchell because I know them well enough. I think we'd be like, they're cool guys.
Right.
And I want to just, like, hang out with them. And I know that won't ever happen because that's being a stalker, so I shouldn't do that. But, like... I love this podcast too, so continue, please. Yeah. I'm so excited to hear that.
I really enjoy I believe I'm the one who told you about it. Like,
yes,
hey, you
100%,
should listen to Doughboys.
100%.
But I have to say, even though I like them both very much, we've been to a live show, and it was genuinely hilarious. I was out of breath the whole time, so I was laughing.
Dying with laughter.
I do not think of Mike Mitchell or Nick Wiger as cool guys. Not in the least.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they think of themselves as cool guys.
That doesn't matter to me whether or not they think it.
Sure.
I think it.
Yeah, no, that's why I started with, I don't think of either of them as cool guys. They're not cool at all. But
They're
fucking funny.
100% cool.
And well, they're not always funny, but they're usually pretty damn
They're
funny, which is
100%
better
cool.
than most people.
And I would hang out with them in a heartbeat. I want to be friends with them.
Well, McCool, I suppose, is subjective as
It
well.
has to be.
So that's great, Doug.
Yes.
I love that. Was there one of the two, since we're discussing them together? Did the live episode stand? Oh, first of all, let's start with this. Was this were you laughing out loud? Did you find this genuinely funny?
Yes, there were
or
definitely
just
parts
interesting?
where I laughed out loud
Okay.
or chuckled to myself with my headphones on, sitting
Right.
at my desk.
Hell yeah.
But definitely more than any other podcast that I've listened to. Although I'm not sure which one. A couple of them have made me laugh before, but not consistently laugh where I'm thinking, wow, this is really funny. These guys are really funny.
That's awesome.
We're making Doug happy.
Now, Doug, beyond that, they're funny. You said these guys should have a podcast. This is good stuff. Why?
I think
What
it's,
made this so good to you?
I think it's truly just that banter back and forth. And this one goes against everything that you guys know I dislike about a podcast.
Right.
So we'll start with I'll take a
Massively
look at my
long
notes.
intros.
We'll
yes.
look at my notes. So for KFC, they took approximately 50 minutes
Yep.
before they ever started to review the food. I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
There you go.
So they do have a format to every episode. Every episode starts with Nick Wiger doing that weird intro about the restaurant. Then it goes to Mike Mitchell. He plays a drop, which is usually user supported. Then they kind of catch up with each other for a period of time, and then they introduce their guests. The guest then talks about their food experience as a child or like places that were
Right.
informative for their food history, and then they get to the show. So like once you start listening to episode after episode, you get really accustomed to that format. And then after they talk about the food, then they play their game, and then they open up the feedback and have it. So like for me, it's super consistent. Now some episodes like Veggie Grill takes 2 hours to get to the food, and that one was a slog because the guest wasn't very good. It really
It's
is kind of guest
literally
dependent.
their worst episode.
Yeah, I agree with that.
One of my favorite places, but God, one of the
That
worst
episode
episodes.
is terrible because the
The
guest
guest
didn't
was,
bring
I
anything.
don't know who he was, but he was awful.
Yeah.
He was a guy who said at one point, I think eggs are dairy. Yeah, eggs are dairy. And I was annoyed with, because I'm sure between Nick Wiger and Mike Mitchell are both aware that eggs produced by fowl are probably not milk-based products.
Is that not out of a cow?
No.
Cows don't poop
So
out eggs?
shit like that does drive me crazy particularly because Mike Mitchell, although he's probably a very smart guy, we know he's been a sketch writer
Yeah.
in his the Birthday Boys, which is his sketch team, kind of presents as, and often refers himself as, a dummy who doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
By the way, that is, I don't know if you picked up on it, but that is, or maybe weren't aware because you were only exposed to 2 episodes, I'm assuming. Did you listen to another?
Just 2.
Okay. A recurrent theme among Nick and Mike Mitchell are that they're losers. They've never done anything worthwhile. They should end the podcast.
Yeah.
Frequently, they should end their lives.
Yeah.
And often you do get the...
He talks about it in San Francisco.
Paul F. Tompkins actually says,
yeah.
you guys are great. You're great. People love this podcast. But that is kind of an ongoing shtick that
Right.
they may or may not genuinely feel. It's hard to say.
They probably do actually to some point. The self-deprecating humor is based out of a self-loathing of some sort. I think they play it up. I mean, one of the things that at the live episode that I noticed is that Nick Wiger it looked like he was kind of like shutting down, but as he'd like tuck his chin in and he'd look down whenever Mike Mitchell was roasting him. And what I realized was he was just thinking of a really good retort.
Right.
So he could pop up and hit him with a equally good roast, because roasting is such a, especially the Taco Bell 2 episode, is such a integral part of the Doughboys experience at this point,
Yeah.
which is great.
Well, we know you love the 2 hosts. What did you think about each of the guests?
I definitely had mixed emotions about the 2 guests.
Okay.
I truly liked and enjoyed Paul's contribution
Yeah.
to the episode. I thought he actually was a contribution
Right.
to the episode, and I found him funny. I actually enjoyed how much he was laughing at the 2 guests. I mean, at the 2 hosts.
Yes.
I thought that was hilarious because I was laughing along too, and the stuff that he's laughing about was the same stuff I was laughing about. So
Right.
I enjoyed that a lot.
Okay. What about John Gabris? What about the live episode from early in 2017 at Sketchfest?
So initially at the beginning of the episode, I definitely was not crazy about John Gabris. I think I have a note somewhere about how I didn't care for him.
Okay.
And I think it's one of those things with a podcast where you've got your host, and then that extra person can, in my opinion, make or break an episode.
Sure.
So at the onset of that episode, I think my note about him was something about he was. God, I wish I could find it. It was like
a rude boy. He's so mean to them.
Yeah, well, not just that, but he was just like
kidding.
Hostile. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish I could find the note, but I just actually that's my too harsh at first, but then I got to say, I mean, it was another long episode.
Yeah,
I think he tamed it down and then was still very funny, but not angry. And I guess I'm just not somebody who really likes like the
he
mean,
came in a little aggressive.
Yeah, the mean, angry humor. I don't necessarily find humorous.
And there's a realm of different types of guests that they have. Mm-hmm. I think the thing that I always tell people, because I honestly am a part of the Church of Doughboys, and I spread the gospel to anybody who likes food or comedy. I'm like, you got to listen to this podcast, especially people like chain restaurants. Yeah. Which most people, I mean, a lot of people at least have a couple. And I always say, find the one where they cover the restaurant you like and try to listen to it. So if you like Chili's, listen to the Chili's episode. If you like Margaritaville, listen to the Margaritaville episode.
Unless you like Veggie Grill.
Unless you like Veggie Grill.
Well, which is a shame.
Do not listen to it.
Well, one, I'm actually sad to know that they've already reviewed Veggie Grill, and you guys are telling me it's horrible. Cause
it's the worst.
As I was listening,
and I
to
was
both
excited
of
as
these,
well because I love Veggie Grill.
Yeah, you know, and as a vegetarian, I'm thinking, you know, God, I wonder if they've done any, you know, because I didn't look through all the different restaurants,
right?
But then I truly, and this is the first time I think I've felt this way about a podcast where I thought I would love to be on their show and see how they deal with vegetarian food, or going to a fast food restaurant and working your way through, you know, whatever's on the board, and making it vegetarian.
Can we
and how that
pause
would be.
for a minute here? Now, Doug, you said you're disappointed tonight to discover that they've already done Veggie Grill. That you said I would have liked to have gone on the show. Did you think that was in the cards that you might be a guest on the show, or did I misinterpret what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I enjoyed this podcast so much that I would love to have been or be a part of it, and sometime be a part of an episode.
Sure.
I'm not saying that's in the realm of possibility.
No, John, we're gonna
I'm
make
saying
that happen.
these are my feelings about this podcast.
You're saying we're going to get Doug on the
I
show.
guess
Doughboys, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't even have a choice now. We're going to actually go to Mike Mitchell's house where they record it, and we're just going to have Doug walk in and be like, "Oh, hey, I'm here to record Veggie Grill."
Right.
And we'll
Veggie Grill 2.
We'll razzle dazzle him.
Yeah.
Give him the old heave ho. We'll make him record.
Right.
With Doug.
I don't feel that heave ho and razzle dazzle are the same.
No,
thing.
that's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pirates love to razzle dazzle.
I'm unfamiliar.
Right off the plank.
Yep.
Razzle dazzle them right off the plank. That's what the pirates always
It's fine.
used to
Now
say.
that you're saying it, it sounds right.
Yeah. John, come on.
Yeah.
I know things.
So, Doug, I mean, maybe in the future, we'll see. I'm thrilled that you liked it so much. You thought, oh man, what a disappointment! I would have liked to have been their guest on that show. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's far more likely that we will have Paul F. Tompkins as a guest here because it's now a rule in modern physics that eventually, given enough time, Paul F. Tompkins will appear on everyone's podcast.
True. I'm looking forward to that.
And
me
he'll
too.
laugh
By the way,
harder than anyone.
Paul F. Tompkins is absolutely fantastic. He's
Yes.
one of the funniest improvisational comedians out there. I like everything he does. And he's also really, I mean, I'll hear a piece at the end of a podcast I'm listening to for another podcast.
Yeah.
And as they're talking about it, they're like, a great show. You'll have a great time with guests like, and they'll rattle off 9 people I've never heard of and Paul F. Tompkins. Every single time, I can just go through like 3, 2, 1. I don't know who any of these people are who are like improv friends of theirs, comedy sketch friends of theirs, and then invariably the name, I'm always waiting for it, Paul F. Tompkins.
Yeah.
Second most likely would be Nick Kroll.
Sure.
Which is fine because I think both of them are fucking hilarious guys, so that's fine with me. But yeah, I think far more like... Actually, we were going to hold this to the end of the episode. Next week, our guest is going to be Paul F. Tompkins.
Oh,
That's
fuck
fantastic.
yeah.
That's the
Very
good
excited.
news.
He
The
doesn't know.
The
Yeah,
bad
right.
news is he refused to do it with you, Doug, so you will not be here next week.
Well played.
So
Well
you thought
played.
Gabris was a little tough. Now, I have to tell you...
and I got to say, you just mentioned earlier that he was on one of the other podcasts Was it Comedy Bang
Comedy
Bang?
Bang Bang, the
Yes.
500th episode, yes. By the way, so was John Gabris. They're both very